Hello there, and welcome to a spooky episode of An Anthropologist Watches Amberlynn Reid Retro React. I wanted to go over the whole Abby Sharp watching Amberlynn Reid thing because I found out about a week ago there's a response to Amber from Abby Sharp. So if you don't know, about 2 years ago, Abby Sharp, who is a well-known dietitian on YouTube, we'll get to that. She did a dietitian's thoughts on Amberlynn Reid's diet and mukbangs. This might be hard to watch. That was about 2 years ago. Abby Sharp went over some of Amber's videos and critiqued Amber's diet and basically saw no issues with it. Amber, during one of her 100 Days of Nothing series, watched Abby Sharp's review and did her own reaction to it. Wow, it's an hour and a half. Damn, I didn't realize that. You go, Amber. That's got to be the longest video she's ever made. And then, about a year ago, Abby watched Amber's reaction to Abby's original video and then did a catch-up critique on Amber's diet at that point. All of these videos are rather long. Abby's original video, I think, is 45 minutes. Amber's video I just saw was an hour and a half. And the final Abby Sharp video is 19 minutes. So it's the shortest of the batch. Okay. Now, I wanted to watch these, and I want to watch them in order, and hopefully my video won't be too long. We will be editing quite a bit. The reason I want to watch this is because Abby was never terribly critical of Amber's diet to begin with, because Abby is a Haze intuitive eating dietitian, or at least that's my take on Abby. And after Amber reacted to Abby's original video, Abby's second video was basically apologizing for being even slightly critical of Amber's diet. And then when she does her catch-up review of Amber's diet, she is once again, in my opinion, very uncritical of it. So in Abby's response to Amber's response, I feel like Abby fell for what I will refer to as Amber's manipulation in Amber's response video. And I want to talk about it. So if you are new here, I am an anthropologist by training. I am an archaeologist, retired, and those are my credentials. I like to look at Amber from a larger view. I like to look at Amber as like a social thing. It's so rude. I need to find a better way of describing this. Anyway, I like to watch Amber critically through an anthropological lens, very loosely. So that's my shtick. Everything I say is my opinion. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a dietitian. I don't like Abby Sharp. You should probably also know that going into this. I used to watch Abby quite a bit, actually. Obviously, more than 2 years ago. And I used to like Abby because I feel like when I was watching Abby was critical in a fair way of people's diets. And it was interesting to me to watch a dietitian critique people's diets. But the more I watched Abby and the more I was aware when I was watching Abby, the more it became evident to me that Abby doesn't like people who eat healthy. Abby doesn't like people, especially women, who work out. She doesn't like women specifically who lead healthy lifestyles. She is constantly critical of women who have an average or even healthy BMI, who dare to eat on camera and dare to show off their exercise routines. She has on multiple occasions called out women who are healthy for promoting EDs and for being the A word and for not eating healthy, even though their diets are very healthy. And she is I have seen her many, many times watch women who are, well, they're obese, they're unhealthy, they're metabolically unhealthy, and she will praise their diets. She will encourage their diets. When they don't exercise, she calls it realistic. She's very much into intuitive eating and not at restrictive eating or healthy eating. Okay, my train completely got derailed, but basically my point is Abby's critical of people, specifically women, who are healthy, and she's very supportive of people, specifically women, who are unhealthy. And I think it's hypocritical given that Abby is clearly a woman who is within, if not a normal BMI, a healthy BMI, and she clearly eats clean. She's shown things that she eats on a regular basis. And Abby falls into this group of people that I see passed around in the anti-haze and anti-fat acceptance groups where they're critiquing videos. And I think it's the cynical dude who's pointed this out more than anybody because I watch him. That you get these dietitians that are more than happy to tell obese and morbidly obese people that you can eat anything you want and there's no such thing as bad foods, and if your body's craving something, go ahead and eat it, and yada yada yada. But these are all usually women who are very healthy, very muscular, very fit. They eat well. They take care of themselves. They are not obese. They don't eat junk food. So it's just they're hypocrites. And Abby, I noticed that about Abby before I understood exactly what it was I didn't like about Abby. So I stopped watching Abby basically. And now anytime I see her critiquing people, especially like she loves to go after people who are in the health space, women who are just working out or just losing weight and they're sharing their weight loss or their health journey. She loves to go after them and tell people how unhealthy they are. And I think it's bullshit. Anyway, this particular video from 2 years ago, the dietitian's thoughts on Amberlynn Reid's diet mukbangs, that actually came out long after I quit watching Abby. And honestly, the only reason I watched it was because it was about Amberlynn. Clearly this happened before I started reacting, because again, 2 years ago. But now that I know that there's like 3 videos, that this is like a series, y'all. Wow, it was a crazy look. Now that I know that this is 3 whole videos and that it's a series, I want to go over them because I think it'll be interesting to see. I will be editing things, particularly probably this first video and Amber's reaction to it, because it's going to be dead air for the most part. I think the important thing to take away from Amber's reaction to Abby's first video is the manipulation that Amber is going to throw out there, that since Abby is so incredibly supportive of unhealthy people, Abby falls for in the second video. Before we get too far into this, we are already too far into this, but thank you to my supporters. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to my members. You all rock. Thank you to everybody who's going to hit the thumbs up button. Ding, ding. And I have sped this up, and I have a white cat. Say hi. Hello. You have food over there, and I want to eat the food. I see that you have lunch. I too would like your lunch. Yep. Down you go. Let's get into this, shall we?
Oh, this one's gonna be hard to watch. Hey everyone, I'm Abby Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. In today's highly requested video, we will be
highly
reviewing Amberlynn Reid. Now, I've received so many requests from you guys to review Amberlynn since I began the series.
Thank you.
But especially since I did my review on Nikocado Avocado,
which I did not watch, and nor am I going to. I got nothing against Nick as a person or as a businessman. I think he's a genius businessman, but I am not watching those mukbangs. I'm not doing it. I cannot do it.
So similar to Nick, whose review you can watch right here, Amberlynn's channel has been the subject of...
I want you guys to listen to what Abby is going to say here, because I've mentioned before how when people who are not part of the Amberverse look in on us, they see the communities around Amber being very negative. And Abby's an example of this. Abby's not part of the Amberverse. Even with this video, I don't think she became part of the Amberverse. So Abby's opinions on the Amberverse is also important to why she's so not critical. Also, remember that Abby always takes the side of women, of obese women, and she does truly believe, appears to truly believe, in my opinion, to think that fat shaming and fat hate is a real thing.
Channel has been the subject of a lot of hate, a lot of bullying, and a lot of controversy, largely to her extreme weight gain and the inconsistent nature of her content. And while it has taken me a long time to figure out how to best approach this video, I want to say that I think I'm finally ready. So today we're going to be taking a look at the evolution of Amberlynn's channel and her corresponding weight gain, my thoughts on her problematic mukbang content, and some of the reasons why dieting might be failing Amberlynn's weight loss goals. We will also once again be joined by eating disorder dietitian Alessandra Maggiasano to gain a little bit more insight into some of these hot topics. Okay, so for those of you who are unfamiliar with Amberlynn Reid,
we are not, so we will probably skip this.
She initially started her YouTube channel back in 2013 to document her weight loss journey. At the time, she was around 368 pounds. However, since starting her channel, she continued to steadily gain up to about 200 pounds and reached her highest weight in January 2020 at 572 pounds. Now, despite trialing a variety of different popular weight loss diets during this time, viewers have questioned Amber's authenticity and commitment to her weight loss journey as she continues to steadily gain weight despite repeated efforts to improve her diet and start fresh tomorrow.
I mean, that's pretty succinct. No. Quit trying to eat my lunch. You can sit there and pout all you want. I just want you to know he's sitting in my lap because I have food sitting next to my computer. It's not because he loves me.
Now, in addition to her weight loss journey, Amberlynn is also known for her mukbang videos, which have really generated a lot of negative feedback. Critics of Amberlynn are quick to point out some of the contradictions of someone in a larger body seeking weight loss who is simultaneously participating in a trend that encourages eating large volumes of food in one sitting.
You know Abby's part of Fat Acceptance and Haze when she says, someone existing in a larger body. You are your body. Okay? You don't exist. It's not like there's a zipper and you can just take the body off and put a new body on. Believe me, if it were that easy, we'd have a whole new market out there. I don't know. I just feel like it's a way of wording things so that you can take responsibility for your body and your physical health away from the individual.
So
that's my opinion.
This begs the question, are mukbangs okay, acceptable, and fun to watch when the YouTuber is generally thin, healthy, or fit?
In my opinion, no, it's gross. I hate mukbangs. I don't care who's doing it. You could be, as a matter of fact, there are a couple guys who are, in my opinion, very attractive. Very attractive. And I cannot watch their mukbangs. Like that's what they do. They do mukbangs. And I'm just like, even eye candy can't make me watch a mukbang. Sorry.
And are they otherwise disturbing and problematic when the mukbanger's nutritional health is already in question? We're going to be diving deeper into these questions later on in the video, so definitely be sure to stick around for that. Now, with all of that said, many of Amberlynn's viewers have repeatedly expressed.
Why does she keep rolling her eyes repeatedly asked about blah, 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 blah. Amberlynn's critics repeatedly. Tell us how you really feel,
about her
Harvey.
size and the implications that this may have on her health and well-being. Now, I can understand this concern, as we do know that obesity, specifically higher amounts of body fat, may put one at a greater risk of a number of chronic diseases.
May put one at risk?
Including
Abby.
Cancer. Unfortunately, Amberlynn did recently share that she was diagnosed with stage 1 endometrial cancer, which is a cancer in the lining of the uterus. Now, I will say that there are...
Boy, let me tell you what. When I had my issues back in April, that was the first thing that went through my mind, and I was so scared. Dodge that bullet, though. Thank God.
There are a number of risk factors for endometrial cancers, including age, genetics, and use of certain forms of contraceptives.
Amber's was directly related to her size. Amber even admitted that. So why Abby's trying to pretend like it's not is just fat acceptance and haze. Secondly, I'm about done with people blaming birth control for a lot of things that it's not directly related to. So quit villainizing birth control. Women are allowed to have birth control. We are allowed to have control over our own bodies. And if you don't agree with that, you can just go. I don't care. And I'm really sick and tired of people, especially people like Abby, going out in the public like this and being like, birth control causes cancer. F you, Abby. F you.
But research does suggest that obese and overweight women with higher amounts of body fat are 2 to 4 times more likely to develop endometrial cancer.
So 4 times more likely isn't enough for you?
And extremely obese women are about 7 times more likely.
But guys, obesity doesn't have much to do with it. Anybody can get endometrial cancer. I can't even say the damn word. I am kind of sort of saying obesity is directly linked to it. You're not guaranteed to have it if you're obese, clearly, but it's a big contributing factor. 7 times more likely? How much more times more likely do you need it to be to see that as a correlation? Yes, there are people who are of a healthy body weight who have that type of cancer. The number of people who are that way dwarfs those of women who are obese and have it. That's the reality. Anyway.
One explanation for this is that excess fat tissue produces higher amounts of estrogen, which has been associated with not only endometrial cancer, but also breast and ovarian cancer.
Among a variety of other things.
Another possible explanation is that individuals with higher body fat often have increased blood levels of insulin and insulin-like growth factor 1, which may promote the development of some cancers, including endometrial cancer. But of course, I am not an oncologist, nor am I part of Amberlynn's health.
That's true. I am not an oncologist either. I just listen to my doctors and read medical literature. For fun. Yes, I'm sorry.
Care team. So obviously, I cannot speak to the root cause of Amberlynn's diagnosis.
No, Amber straight up told us that it's because she's obese. Amber admitted that in her own videos.
But what we can say, just by looking at the research, is that there may be an association between higher body fat and the development of some cancer.
Abby, there isn't a maybe correlation. There is a correlation. Correlation is not necessarily causation, but this is a pretty strong correlation. I mean, gravity's still a theory too. Anti-science bullshit.
Now, with that said, since sharing her diagnosis, Amberlynn has also had a hysterectomy to surgically remove the uterus. So I do want to, of course, wish her a full and safe recovery and remission from her surgery and condition. Now,
I don't think anybody didn't wish Amber a full recovery. I'm sure statistically somewhere there's some jerkhead who did, because people. But the majority of people, including reactors who were not kind, even they were like, nah, it's cool. I really hope she recovers okay from this. Okay? Nobody at any point was publicly out there saying anything negative about Amber's chances of recovery. Like, everybody was wishing her well, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Even Amber commented on it. So it was noticeable enough that even Amber
moving
noticed.
on to her diet, I do want to start by acknowledging that Amberlynn has shared that she suffers from binge eating disorder and overeating.
Oh, but wait, Abby. Again, this is 2 years ago. So Abby hasn't heard the whole, like, Amber doesn't really have binge eating disorder story yet.
As usual, it is not my place to speculate about whether or not this is true. And like I said, I'm not here to diagnose or pathologize Amberlynn, but rather the purpose of this video is to review the content on her channel at face value in a compassionate and educational format, so as to...
This just shows me that Abby isn't part of the community because of the way she's trying to word this, you know. Taking things at face value, you should not do that with Amber.
Themes like dieting and emotional eating.
I'm not expecting Abby to diagnose Amber with anything because Abby's not capable of diagnosing. Abby's a dietitian you can't diagnose as a dietitian, as far as I understand. They're not doctors, they're dietitians. So, and after watching, was it Kierna Doctories? God damn, I can't say her name. I'm so sorry. But she just recently released a video about the big food industry and basically the bullshit they're pulling. I don't trust dietitians anymore. That's a sad statement.
That said, I really can't confirm whether or not Amberlynn's What I Eat in a Day videos are an accurate representation of what she actually consumes in a day.
They're not. You don't need to be an expert to do that. You just need a pair of eyes and a brain that works.
But we will talk more about binge eating disorder and dieting later on.
I'll probably skip that part, not gonna lie, because I don't think it's important to the overall purpose of these videos, which I need to tone down my snark towards Abby. But again, I'm very anti-Abby, and I apologize for that. I apologize that that's coming out so clearly. I need to tone it down. I apologize.
For now, I do want to take a brief look at what Amberlynn's typical day of eating might look like at the time of filming this video, which, by the way, is subject to change by the time that it's live. Let's start with her breakfast, and a quick trigger warning. I'm going to be giving some suggestions on how to help optimize satiety for Amberlynn's weight loss goals. So if this is triggering for you, of course, feel free to skip this section of this video. So for breakfast on day one, we've got a smoothie with Greek yogurt, some frozen berries, and some spinach.
It doesn't take many videos of Amberlynn's. It doesn't take watching very many videos of Amberlynn's to know that is not a typical breakfast for Amber. Abby cherry-picked this one to make it look like Amber's eating healthy food. Amber is not. Also, smoothies are not. Smoothies taste great. I think they're tasty. I use them as like a dessert at best. I would never start my day with a smoothie. Not a dietitian, not a doctor, just my personal opinion. But Abby is purposefully picking something that is an abnormal breakfast for Amber and putting it forward as if it were a typical breakfast for Amber.
On day two is a bagel with some chicken breast, cream cheese, and some Cheetos. And
again, not actually typical for Amber. Just going over Amber's typical breakfast is eggs, bacons, and maybe some toast. And then God knows what else
on day
after
three,
that.
it's some pasta with onion, tomato, corn, pesto, butter, and some sparkling lemonade.
Again, not
So
typical.
Amberlynn has previously said that she doesn't usually consume stereotypical breakfast, lunch, and dinner meals. Instead, she will usually just eat whatever she feels like in the moment. Great. I don't know.
That is true. Amber does eat whatever she feels like eating in the moment. I don't know what you would call a typical lunch or dinner food. I know that people have opinions about what breakfast food is and isn't. Amber typically does eat breakfast foods. Like I said, a typical breakfast for her is eggs and bacon. I mean, how many times have we seen her eat eggs and bacon? That is a typical breakfast for her.
Necessarily think that meals need to look a certain way based on the time of day that they're consumed. So if that's something that works for her and her palate, then it works for me. With that said, I think there is some room for improvement here to really maximize the nutrition of these meals, which would help keep Amberlynn feeling satisfied longer, potentially curb the desire to binge later on in the day.
Don't eat cheesy poofs for breakfast. Throwing that out there.
And boost the disease-fighting antioxidants in her diet for general longevity and health. So for example, she could swap the bag of Cheetos with the smoothie from day one to pair with her bagel breakfast.
So just have a huge sugar and carb bomb for breakfast? Cool,
And
whatever.
this will help cut back on some of the added salt and refined carbs while adding in a serving of fruit, veggies, and extra protein from the Greek yogurt. She could also choose a nice hearty whole grain bread instead of the bagel if she wants some days, which will provide a lot more satisfying fiber, protein, and maybe some healthy fats to really keep her energy levels more steady. Also, FYI, when I'm choosing a bread, I do like to look for the words whole grain as the first ingredient in the list. And ideally, I'm looking for about 3 to 5 grams of fiber and 3 to 6 grams of protein per 2 slices.
Unless you're making this bread yourself. This is me going off on a tangent. My opinions. Unless you're making the bread yourself at home, you have no freaking clue what whole grain means because it can mean anything according to the food industry. The requirements of the food industry for being honest in their ingredients list is so incredibly low, especially here in the States. That whole grain could mean anything. honestly. So just putting that out there. Bread that you buy in a bag it's processed bread. I don't have a better way of putting that. Do I eat it? Yes. I do like my processed bread, but I also, if you're asking me what's healthier, my homemade bread that I make from my own actually freshly ground wheat, because I'm not extra, and the bag of sprouted grain whole wheat bread that I bought from Aldi, which is delicious. My bread's way healthier. Anyway, tangent over. Unrelated tangent completely over. Thank you for coming to my bread talks.
So that might be a good guideline for Amberlynn as well. Now on day 3, I really like that she's got some veggies added to the pasta, but she could definitely shift the proportions, maybe by throwing in some zucchini noodles in with the regular pasta, or a few extra handfuls of frozen spinach, just to up the fiber content.
Her suggestions for improving meals are so weird sometimes. Who's going to eat macaroni pasta with zucchini noodles? They're too, like, I could get if you were like, it was spaghetti and she was like, throw some zucchini noodles in with the spaghetti. Like, that at least makes sense. And I mean, I've done it. It's good. It's delicious. I like it. But like spaghetti noodles and macaroni noodles together, like, very few people I know do that as like a normal thing. That's just a weird suggestion. Why not dice up the zucchini so that it's still bite-sized to go along with the bite-sized macaroni? Like, what are you doing?
Content, and maybe also add in some tofu or edamame as well, especially because a 2015 meta-analysis found that soy intake was associated with 20% lower endometrial cancer risk. She could also swap her pasta.
I don't like even a little bit that Abby is suggesting any kind of food as a way of as a cancer preventative. Like, I don't think Abby should be giving that kind of medical advice, because that's what that is. And B, Abby will sit here and read you and give you this report and have no issues with this report being a direct correlation of eating soy prevents cancer. But she'll present papers and then tap dance around the direct correlation between obesity and cancer. That one's not a real correlation, you guys, but eating soy is. I'm not saying don't eat soy. I like soy, and I'm not saying that there isn't a correlation between soy consumption and lower cancer risks. That's not my problem. My problem is her cherry picking her data and being anti-science. Okay? That's what's happened here. It has nothing to do with the soy or the obesity, really. It's Abby doesn't like the narrative that obesity causes health issues, so Abby's not going to directly say, even though the science backs it up, that obesity raises your risk of cancer. She won't definitively say that, but she will definitively say that consuming soy will drop your chances of cancer.
For like chickpea pasta, because it's got about twice the protein and fiber on average as traditional pasta.
I don't like pastas that aren't traditional dry pasta. I do like the fresh stuff, but like the chickpea stuff and like the red lentil pasta and that kind of stuff, it never cooks up right. It just never cooks up right, and it always disappoints me. And so I just quit using it because I'm like, yeah, sure, it's healthier for you probably, but I'm just like, damn it, it never cooks right. It never tastes right, and like when you eat it, it doesn't eat like pasta. I don't know how to put that. It's cool if you like it. I mean, I know there's obviously people do like it, but else it wouldn't still be on the market. But I just can't eat it. It's just not good.
But I would say that, just adding in more protein and fiber to our breakfast meals would definitely help keep them a little bit more balanced and up their staying power to keep her feeling more satisfied until lunch. And we know also that a Mediterranean style diet rich in whole grains, fruits, and veggies is associated with lower risk of endometrial cancer. So,
okay, but the Mediterranean diet that you're shilling here, nothing wrong with the Mediterranean diet. I just don't like Abby. That Mediterranean diet revolves around whole foods, which includes homemade bread. And probably, since it's the Mediterranean, homemade pasta as well, which is another step I don't take because I do like making pasta. It's just a process. And if I want to eat pasta, I want to eat pasta. I am, of the things that I am not Italian. And it shows.
So just something to really keep in mind. Let's take a look at lunch. Okay, so for lunch, day one, she's at a restaurant and she has some tilapia with cream sauce, broccoli, and zucchini.
Not typical of Amber's eating out meals. You don't have to watch that many videos to know that this is an atypical meal for Amber, especially from a restaurant.
Good. Day two is just a Luna bar for lunch.
Also atypical for Amber. Doesn't take watching many videos to know that.
And day three is a second bowl of that pasta she had on day one.
That's way more typical. Again, Abby is cherry picking Amber's videos. This is 2 years ago. She has 8 years of videos to go over. This is the middle of Amber's mukbang era. Abby's choosing videos to show as typical days of eating for Amber that are not typical. We saw Amber eat Luna bars, what, twice? Maybe, and then never again. How is that typical? When Amber goes out and she gets fast food, or even when she orders meals in, how many times have we seen her eat tilapia or fish in general that wasn't battered and fried? And to have 2 vegetables as a side? Never. Okay? She always gets rice or fries or potatoes and a vegetable maybe sometimes. Okay? These are abnormal days of eating that Abby is putting forward as if they were normal days of eating for Amber. It's cherry picking. That bowl of pasta, I think I even remember that video. I think she just ate that all day, I think. We'll find out.
Now with her lunch on day one, which is the fish and veggies from Ruby Tuesdays, which looks delicious, Amberlynn also mentions that even though this meal was low calorie, it did help her feel full.
Amber's full of shit, and we all know that.
And I'm really not surprised by this because if you guys remember my hunger crushing combo, we want to aim for a source of fat, protein, and fiber with our meals.
There's no carbs. If we're going to play this game, there were no carbohydrates aside from that very small serving of broccoli. I think the zucchini count as a carby veg. I don't remember. So you don't have a balance here if we're going to play this game, unless you're going to count that cream sauce as carbs, because I'm sure it has flour in it. Like, dude, don't do this.
So this meal in particular is getting protein from the shrimp and tilapia, fat from the cream sauce, and fiber from the veggies. So
the fat from the cream sauce, BT dubs, is butter. Nothing against butter, I guess. But my point is like, let's not sit here and pretend like that cream sauce is healthy. Okay? It's a freaking cream sauce. I know how to make that. It's butter and flour with flavorings. Okay? A proper cream sauce is made with drippings. Okay? Milk and drippings. Okay?
Super satisfying, I'm sure. And I also love that this meal is not so like overly restrictive. It's not like, plain broiled fish and steamed or boiled vegetables.
It's literally a broiled fish with cream sauce. You can't even stay consistent within your own critique.
We're getting that cream sauce in there to make it a little bit more satisfying. So that really helps with reducing the idea of kind of mental scarcity as well. On day two, Amberlynn opts for a Luna bar. And while the Luna bar is a great on-the-go snack,
no, it's not. It's a candy bar.
It's just not likely going to provide enough fuel to get her through to dinner.
True. It's not enough fuel to get me through to dinner. That's why I quit eating the damn things. They're expensive and they're not satisfying.
I mean, literally, these have less than 200 calories. The problem is, if we let ourselves get too hungry
Actually,
with low
no, that's not true. I think some of them are like 220. I was eating them a lot when I was doing archaeology because snack bars and things like that, they travel well, they pack well, and they travel well. And Luna bars taste better than most of them on the market because they have more sugar in them than most of them on the market. As far as being like satisfying, no. Even the higher calorie ones, no, they're not satisfying at all. Amber, who can easily eat 3,000 calories in a day and still lose weight, You're damn right that thing wasn't satisfying. It's just a candy bar.
Meals, we're more likely to overeat whatever we can get our hands on really quick. So even if she didn't have time for a formal sit-down meal, she could beef this up with like a handful of nuts, a hard-boiled egg, and a piece of toast, or some whole grain crackers, hummus, and cut up veggies.
So even though Amber doesn't have time to sit down to a meal because she's so busy, you guys, Abby suggests that she still sit down and make a meal. Eggs and toast and a handful of veggies. Okay, that's totally not making a meal. Whatever.
So I totally get that Amberlynn may be looking to choose really low-calorie meals in an effort to lose weight fast, but choosing meals that are just inadequate is a setup for a binge.
True.
So we still want to think about getting enough calories, particularly from those hunger-crushing compounds, to get us to that next meal. And then as for day 3, Amberlynn has the same pasta that she had for breakfast. So again, we would want to maybe bump up the fiber and ideally get some plant-based protein into this meal to make it more filling and more antioxidant rich. And also maybe just add a little bit more variety. So we could switch up the veggies or serve it with like a green salad to get our veggie fix. Now let's talk about dinner. Okay, so for dinner on day 1, we've got 4 slices of bread with mayo, chicken, and bacon. On day 2, it's some macaroni with buffalo chicken sauce.
That is, I forget how dry Amber's cooking is. That is some dry pasta. The sandwiches with the turkey and the bacon, I would say, are actually fairly typical of Amber, especially during that era. Amber was eating a lot of sandwiches like that, where she'd fool herself into thinking she had 4 sandwiches on that plate because she was using 4 pieces of bread and just folding them over. Whatever makes you happy, I guess. Amberlynn's sandwiches were the least of my problems.
Sausage and broccoli. And on day 3, it's a bowl of cereal, then another bowl of cereal, a few spring rolls, and then 6 Oreos.
I would say that is probably the most typical meal of Amber's out of all of these meals. The pasta dish, both of the pasta dishes, that's typical Amber. And the sandwiches, that's typical Amber. The rest of the meals that Abby put forward as being a typical day of eating for Amber are not typical days of eating for Amber.
So again, we're seeing a variety of different types of meals that don't necessarily fall into the standard dinner category, which is totally okay. And as you guys...
Because no one on the planet eats cereal for dinner. No one. No one but Amber eats cereal for dinner.
You guys know I am not into food rules, even ones that say you can't have cereal for dinner. I mean, like this video right now if you love breakfast for dinner. Or
first off, I'm not even going to get on my cereal is not a real food kick. And secondly, Abby, nobody but you is sitting here saying that you can't have cereal for dinner. Like literally no one but you.
Or like Brinner. Brinner, I guess, right? Yes, please. Yes, please. Anyway, so on day 1, we've got those sandwiches with mayo, chicken, and bacon. I like that there's more protein in this meal, but we would definitely want to see some veggies or like a simple side salad, just like balance things out. I also think that maybe we could go for either the mayo or bacon since there is already a lot of saturated fat in this meal.
I wonder if she knows that the bacon that Amber used was that microwave pre-cooked bacon. I love that stuff, but as far as like healthy bacon, that's probably the least healthy form of bacon you could probably eat, in my opinion.
And that doesn't mean we need to skimp out on flavor or fat or even reduce the calories. We could totally swap the mayo for like avocado and the bacon for some flavored tempeh to boost up the plant-based protein.
What does it matter if it's plant-based protein or not? If you swapped out the mayo for avocado, I feel like that would actually be like more fat than the mayo would be providing. And I've had some tempeh that I like, but it's not bacon. No offense. That's not, how is that the same flavor profile as bacon?
This is particularly of interest for Amberlynn because research suggests that higher saturated fat intakes are associated with increases in endometrial cancer risk by 60 to 80%. All right, so then on day 2, we are seeing a little bit more balance. You know, we've got those carbs from the pasta, we've got some protein in the chicken sausage, and some veggies in the broccoli. Though again, I would probably shift the proportions just a little bit to see a little bit more green in there. And again, maybe that chickpea pasta would be...
Not all vegetables are green. That's just me being
another
petty.
easy swap. As for day 3, obviously you don't need me to tell you that it's not a super nutritious meal with the Oreos and the spring rolls and 2 bowls of cereal for dinner. And Amberlynn herself actually mentions that this was a bad eating type of day, which resulted in a bit of a binge that occurred off camera. So saying that we need to boost up the vegetables is kind of a moot point here, but we'll be talking a lot more about Amberlynn's emotional eating later on in the video. But again, this may come down to a combination of physical restriction and the experience of emotional scarcity.
In that day of eating that she's talking about, Amber had 2 bowls of pasta, 2 large bowls of pasta with, I think it's sun-dried tomatoes or something. I kind of vaguely remember that video. So she had 2 large bowls of pasta with stuff. And then that night had 2 giant bowls of what is that, Captain Crunch? I never liked Captain Crunch. I know people love it. I was never a Captain Crunch person. And then like a bunch of Oreos and I forget how many spring rolls. Probably with her 2 giant spring rolls. You want me to believe that that dinner that she ate was because of her restriction and scarcity throughout the rest of the day? Girl ate an entire box of macaroni, of elbow macaroni, between those 2 bowls. No, Abby, it's not a scarcity thing. Does Amber have issues with food? Yes. Was Amber restricting herself that day? No? Okay, whatever.
But stay tuned because we're going to talk a lot more about that. So in terms of my overall thoughts on Amberlynn's diet, at least based on what we're seeing in these 2020 What I Eat in a Day videos,
the ones you cherry picked?
her portion sizes are not particularly big. In fact, at times, they might just not be big enough.
Those bowls of macaroni that she ate on the 2 days, the one where she had the same meal twice and the day where she made it with the chicken sausage, the portion sizes in those bowls that she ate are twice what I would eat in a sitting. So you're not going to sit here and tell me that Amber's serving sizes are too small. The day she ate the sandwiches, yes, she split it up onto 4 separate pieces of bread. Those were 2 large sandwiches. Okay? With 6 to 8 pieces of bacon and at least 4 ounces of chicken between them and mayonnaise. Okay? I'm not saying I couldn't eat that sandwich because I probably could. Both of those. But those are not a small portion size. What else did she eat those days? Her breakfast on one of those days was an entire bagel. Nothing against people who can eat a whole bagel, because with cream cheese on both sides and with turkey lunch meat in between. That is not a small serving. Okay, Abby, go on.
And that can set you up for a binge really quickly. But
Eating a bunch of sugar sure as hell will.
do have some generally balanced meals to work with. There is, of course, some room to optimize the nutrition in some of Amberlynn's meals, particularly to ensure that she is satiated and then not setting herself up for a binge with inadequate calories at meal times, and also to make sure that she's getting in the antioxidants for cancer prevention.
I really, really hate that Abby's saying that. I really hate that Abby's saying that. I can't even go into detail as to why I hate it so much, because it's just going to make me rant, but Abby should not be giving out medical advice like that. I'm sorry if you don't like it, but that's medical advice.
So for example, adding in extra nutrition from protein and fiber would help to make her meals more satiating, keeping her blood sugar levels in check, and of course, helping to keep her fuller for longer without adding in a ton of calories, which may potentially reduce the urge to binge later on in the day. Also, focusing on lots of colorful fruits and vegetables, whole grains, beans, and soy protein may help to reduce her risk of future cancer.
All right, I don't think we really need to sit here and listen to Abby's optimization of Amber's diet. Because I mean, it's typical dietitian stuff. There's nothing wrong or right about it. It's just Abby's opinion on what makes a balanced meal. Whatever.
One hot topic that I want to get into is mukbangs. And I've shared my thoughts on the mukbang trend, which you can watch right here. But essentially, mukbangs on YouTube have now evolved from the Korean trend of eating a modest amount of food in front of an audience to simulate a social eating experience virtually, to now eating a large quantity of food in a short period of time, aka the actual clinical definition of a binge. So obviously,
I thought there was a mental component to the concept of a binge, an episode of binging. So I don't agree with her. I still don't like mukbangs.
To the average viewer, Amberlynn's regular mukbang activity seems at odds with her weight loss goals. And this, of course, has led to a lot of online bullying, vicious diet trolling, and accusations that she isn't taking her health or weight loss seriously.
Vicious diet trolling. Diet troll. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. He doesn't like diet trolls. I apologize. Amber's mukbanging is not the sole cause of the vitriol that Amber receives in her comments section. I will admit, Amber receives abuse in her comments section. It is stunning. Even as somebody who is part of this community, I am always amazed. So you can tell right here, she's not happy about it. I'm not happy about it, but it does not begin and end with Amber's mukbangs. The mukbangs, honestly, are the smallest problem that people have with Amber, okay? And her diet trolls. I'm using that from now on. Diet troll! He's sleeping underneath my couch. Or underneath my desk.
With that said, Amberlynn has recently shared that she's actively trying to rebrand her channel without doing mukbangs, because even though these videos generate the most views, they also generate the most hate and scrutiny. Sounds a lot like what we heard from Nick Ocado on his channels as well. Now, what I do want to point out, however, especially in contrast to other infamous mukbangers like Nick, is that the volume of food in Amberlynn's mukbangs pale in comparison to the norm. In fact, even though we are seeing some traditional mukbang foods like flaming Cheetos and various high-calorie, highly processed fast foods, we're also seeing a lot of less typically bingeable and more balanced meals like veggie stir-fry, tuna and celery with rice cakes, veggie burgers, or some meatloaf served with some mac and cheese.
Those meals that she just showed are atypical, and they were during a specific cycle that Amber was in. We don't see her eat food like that anymore, and we didn't see her eat food like that before that section. Was she calling them mukbangs when she was eating them? Yes. And I think Amber was using them in the traditional definition of the mukbang as eat with me. And I think Amber even stated that when she started filming those. Will I agree with Abby that those particular meals were not a now typical mukbang where it's just oodles of food, usually very unhealthy food, garbage food that is eaten? They don't really eat it fast, the few that I've watched. It's not really a fast eating thing. It's just a watch me eat all of it food thing. No, they're not traditional mukbangs unless you are using mukbang in the term in the original definition, which I do recall Amber saying this is an eat with me video. This is where she started doing the whole eat with me thing. And those were mukbangs in that sense. They were not Nikakawa Atakawa, everything's flaming hot ramen stuff and there's cheese on everything. He is, I will hands down say he is the king of the sensational mukbang, which is another reason why I can't watch it. It's so gross. So they're also, again, atypical eating for Amber. Amber ate, nothing against the entire shrimp ring, but Amber ate, sat down with the intention of eating an entire shrimp ring on camera. Amber sat down with the intention of eating an entire roastery chicken on camera. Okay? Amber has done her fair share of really weird mukbangs. She's not good at it. That's the other problem with it. Amber kind of sucks at mukbangs. Okay? When Amber rebranded them as Eat With Me videos, that was probably the most honest she's ever been about those videos. They're not really mukbangs as much as they're just, hey, watch me eat videos.
And these meals are often even accompanied by a side of veggies or sliced fruit.
Again, I guess my point is again, this is another time where Abby's cherry picking things and ignoring everything else so that she can make it look like Amber's actually eating more healthy than Amber really is.
Which, let's be real, doesn't really satisfy a viewer's desire to live vicariously through a YouTuber's epic cheat meal. So Amberlynn's mukbangs are, dare I say, healthier than most YouTubers' all-in 10,000 calorie challenges?
I mean, if you're just going to come right out and say it.
But yet, if you compare the comment sections of her mukbangs compared to many others, like, let's say, Always Hungry, Amberlynn bears the brunt of the disgust and hate.
No, she doesn't. But if that is the only video you have ever interacted with from the Amberverse, then yes, it does appear that way. So on the one hand, I have to give Abby credit for not being fully aware of the Amberverse and how and why Amber gets the vitriol that she gets, because she's being willfully ignorant right now. However, getting caught up on Amber, what was this, 2 years ago? In 2021? It's 2023. 2 years ago would be 2021. Getting caught up with Amber at that point would have been epic. I mean, it's still an epic thing to do. And I don't think Abby wants to be part of the Amberverse. And so expecting her to do that would have been, it just would have been ridiculous. I mean, let's put it out there. I'll give her that. However, you looked at one video and you cherry picked the videos you looked at, which means you actually looked at more than just those. Let's be real. And you chose videos that are going to make that are going to put Amber's eating in the best light. And then you're probably cherry picking the comment sections to put the commenters in the worst light, because ultimately what you're doing here is defending intuitive eating and trying to point out that the morbidly obese lady who is eating the most unhealthy foods she can find and constantly going on about her eating disorders and not doing anything to actually lose weight and constantly lying and manipulating her audience, which, by the way, you fell for. Yeah, it's, you are willfully being ignorant at this point and putting forth a false narrative about who and what Amber is. I'm trying really hard not to be too rough. I really don't like Abby.
Let's just look at one of the most popular comments on Amberlynn's mukbang versus one.
Which one? Which mukbang? Is there one? There's one comment. There's only ever been one Amberlynn mukbang. And on this one and only Amberlynn mukbang, there's one comment. I don't even know how many mukbangs Amber has actually done over the years, but I'm willing to bet it numbers somewhere around the hundreds. And again, she's cherry picking the comments on Always Hungry's too. Blink, blink, blink. You know, she's going after a skinny, pretty female mukbanger and comparing her to a not so skinny mukbanger, Amber. I'm not going to say Amber's not pretty, because there's some people that do think she's pretty. She's not my cup of tea, but that's fine. That doesn't mean she's not pretty. Okay. When she's got her makeup on and her hair done, she's conventionally attractive in the face. Okay. So there's that. But in my opinion, this is just more evidence of Abby constantly going after people who are of a healthy, normal body weight and going after them as if they're the villains, and treating them as if they're the ones with the EDs, and then apologizing for and protecting people who clearly have EDs. You know, I'm not saying Amber deserves hate, because I don't think she deserves hate. She deserves criticism and she deserves accountability, but she doesn't deserve hate. And she does get some really shitty comments. This whole, like, I'm surprised you haven't eaten your fingers is mild. Also funny, but mild. The comments are cherry-picked, and you can tell they are because of how they're lined up on her screen here. It's not like these are one after the other.
From lifestyle YouTuber Always Hungry. Both of these people post.
Okay, and the other thing I want you to look at here. To show Abby's hypocrisy. Ha ha ha. I can talk, I swear. To show Abby's hypocrisy here, and how she is comparing apples to oranges. We're not even going to look at the actual comment itself. We've got the first comment she puts up here. It's got 32 replies, which are probably all people agreeing and making fun of things. It's got 1.2K likes, okay? The first comment she puts up from Always Hungry has 1 like. She's got the second one has 18 likes. The next one over from Always Hungry, 1 like. She's got this one here. I'm not going to read it. 65 likes. The next one over, 2 likes. This one has 521 likes. This one has the most likes of all of the comments that she's shown for Always Hungry. And you know how many that is? 3. I get more likes on my comments, the comments that people leave in my comment section, than Always Hungry has on hers. These are from, at the time that she took these, a week old. These are 3 to 7 months old. Which tells me she's either pulling these from separate videos, which again means she's cherry picking. Abby, why? Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. This is why I don't like Abby. Because once you start seeing it, you can't unsee it, and it just ruins everything she's ever said and any critique Abby's ever made of anyone. It just ruins it because you just see it for the empty shilling that it is. And I'm just like, the only reason I can come up with for why Abby does this, because she's clearly not living the tenements of fat acceptance and health at every size and intuitive eating, because she's thinner than I am visually. She might still be the same weight I am. I don't know. But she's clearly not living this lifestyle, not the mukbang lifestyle, but the one that she champions for. And yet she will still encourage people to eat in a way that is detrimental to their health and try to say that there isn't a direct link between obesity and a myriad of health conditions. She will really honestly try to do that. But she herself is clearly living a much healthier lifestyle than she is advertising and she is recommending to people. Okay? Okay? She goes after people who are healthy and she champions people who aren't. This whole thing with Amberlynn is just like peak peak Gabby Sharp.
But the primary difference is that Olivia Adams from Always Hungry is already in a socially desirable body.
She's not healthy, guys. She's not healthy and she's not fit. She's in a socially desirable body. Amber's not unhealthy, you guys. She's not fat. She's not obese. She's just in a socially undesirable body. Abby, seriously.
And Amberlynn is not. So why does someone's body size influence our perception?
I love that she used that picture, which is God knows how many years old in it. But she uses that picture because Amber does look nice in that picture. That's Amber's catfish picture. And that's the comparison picture of Amber with her hair done and her makeup and filters galore. She uses that picture and compares it to
Olivia Adams from Always.
That picture where, yeah, her hair's done and she's got some light makeup on, but there's no filter there as far as I can detect. However, those donuts, oh my God. I could eat some donuts, let me tell you what. I don't keep them in the house because I can eat some donuts. Donuts. Those all look like fall flavored donuts too. Anyway, but she compares this picture of this woman, I don't know who this is, by the way, with her hair moderately done, her makeup light, there's no filter, there's some blurred background because probably like me, her house is a disaster and she doesn't want you to see it. And compares it to this picture of Amber, which is makeup heavy, her hair is done, she's showing off her cleavage, and she's got a filter on. These are not the same, Abby. Apples and oranges. Anyway, what else have we got?
Mukbangs are acceptable? And why is eating any amount of food that is not considered diet food not socially acceptable from somebody in a larger body? Here's the thing. I am by no means condoning mukbang videos of any kind, even the more modest versions on Amberlynn's channel. I honestly think that this is a really problematic YouTube trend that perpetuates a lot of disordered eating behaviors. But these behaviors are unhealthy regardless of size.
Absolutely no one has, I have never heard anyone ever argue that mukbangs are healthy when skinny people do it. I have never heard anyone make that argument. Mukbangs, the style that we have here in the States that has become popular, I have never heard someone say it is healthy when a skinny person does it and unhealthy when a fat person does it, because it's not. Everyone knows eating like that is unhealthy, regardless of who you are. Okay? And to blow holes even further in Abby's argument, let's look at Candy, aka Hungry Fat Chick, who has literally made her career out of eating on camera. She is a mukbang queen, okay? I'm willing to bet if I went to Candy's comment sections from back when she was actually doing the unhealthy mukbangs, because Candy has turned around and she's doing, I don't even know if she does mukbangs anymore, honestly. But I know that she's lost a ton of weight and she's doing it in a fairly healthy way. And seriously, you go Candy. It's your birthday. I mean, seriously, my point is, if you go back in the comments of Candy, of Hungry Fat Chick's mukbang days, I'm sure there are some nasty comments in there because people are assholes. But also that just kind of furthers my point. Most people love Hungry Fat Chick. She is seems to be a nice, genuine person. Someone who really no one has any issues with because she's not two-faced. She doesn't lie. She's not constantly trying to manipulate her audience. She just is a really big woman who eats food on camera and does mukbangs, and no one has a problem with her. It never has. So this argument that the only reason Amber's getting hate is because she's a fat person who eats food on camera is absolute BS, because Hungry Fat Chick shows that that's not true. Okay? Compare the hatred and vitriol that Amber gets to what Foodie Beauty would get when Foodie Beauty was doing her mukbangs. It's exactly the same, and it's for the same damn reasons. Foodie Beauty is not a good person, and that's the majority of the hate and vitriol that she gets. Okay? It's the same effing thing. Nobody really cares that they're two fat chicks eating food on camera. That's just the whipped cream and cherry on top. You know, that's just the salt in the wound. Abby, oh my God, now I'm just ranting. I'm so sorry.
Repeatedly eating large amounts of highly processed foods in one sitting can lead to increased blood pressure and blood sugar, water retention, shifts in one's gut microflora, and dysregulated mood.
Okay. If you overall in general are a healthy person who moderates their diet, which if you're a skinny person, somebody in a socially desirable body, you're probably not eating mukbangs on the regular, okay? And you're probably eating healthy the rest of the time. Probably. I mean, it's entirely possible that other things are happening in the background, but those usually have some kind of physical health tell, you know? Just putting it out there, Abby.
But it's very clear that the negative public perception of Amberlynn's content is unique because of her size.
No, it's not. And I've explained why. Okay? And the fact that you're too lazy to do the research to realize that what you just said is not correct just really drives home my aggravating points about you that I've been ranting about this entire video. I'm about done ranting, by the way.
And that's nothing new. Research suggests that society's negative attitudes towards obese people play a significant role in their psychological and their physical health.
Basically, what Abby's trying to say is because people are mean to fat people are fat, which is a health acceptance and health at every size and fat acceptance talking point. I'm not fat because I eat too much, you guys. I'm fat because people make fun of me for being fat. Okay, first off, people shouldn't make fun of you because you're fat, but if you weren't already fat, then how could people make fun of you for being fat? Do you see what I'm saying? If you don't already display the trait that you're being mocked for, why would they be mocking you for that trait? So it's not the mockery that's causing you to have that trait. Something else is causing that trait, especially if it's a trait that can be changed, which obesity can be, which I'm sure Abby will eventually argue cannot be changed because it's immutable or something, because that's the kind of rhetoric that Abby pushes. I haven't heard her say it yet, but I'm willing to bet she does at some point. Anyway.
I get that a lot of people think that trolling an obese person about their weight or offering like aggressive dieting advice might motivate these individuals to adopt healthier behavior.
No, that's an excuse for people to be assholes. I'm sorry. I don't believe that either. People who are being diet trolls are trolls. There's a reason why they're called trolls. No one has ever said, a troll saved my life. No one has ever said that. People who give aggressive diet advice are probably misguided. Unless someone directly asks you for advice, you shouldn't be giving people advice. Even if it means they're going to go off and not have a happy life. It's not your job to save people unless they ask you. Because it's wasted effort on top of everything else. If people don't want help and you're offering help, it doesn't matter. Even if it's the best help on the planet, even if it's guaranteed to change everything. If they didn't ask for that help and they're not ready to receive help, it doesn't matter. You can give them all the help you want. It's not going to do them any good. It's not going to do you any good.
Statistically, the opposite is true. Research shows that the experience of weight stigma reduces exercise frequency and increases binge eating, unhealthy weight control behaviors, and binge eating disorder.
You see, guys? You see? I'm only fat because someone somewhere made fun of me one time. I'm not saying that I never got made fun of for being fat, because I did. Maybe not as bad as most people. I'm willing to put that out there. But I have certainly been made fun of because of my size, especially when I was a child and a teenager. Okay? Seriously. And because of that, that is why today, as an adult, as a 40-year-old woman, that is why today I am medically obese. My origin story. No, I'm fat because I eat the wrong things. Okay? I've lost 20 some odd going on 30 pounds now. Because I quit eating those things and I started exercising more. Am I perfect? No. Okay, but did my lifestyle changes affect my overall health and actually cause me to lose weight? Yes. Because that's how it works. How about you start quoting all of the medical advice that how about you start quoting all of the medical studies that prove that calories in, calories out is the most effective way to lose weight without surgery. How about you start doing that, Abby? Oh no, you can't do that. You won't do that because that'll prove that being fat isn't caused by hurt feelings and is actually something that can be controlled by the individual. You won't do that because that's assigning responsibility for that person's own health on that person. No. We have to give them excuses to be unhealthy outside of themselves, because that way it doesn't make them feel bad. We don't want fat people to feel bad. No offense. Seriously. I gotta quit watching this now. All right, we're gonna end on Abby's face, which is exactly how I feel. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to make this a two-parter because Amber's response to this is an hour and a half long, and I'm definitely gonna have to cut that one down. And then the second Abby video to this one is 20 minutes, which again is the shortest video on here. But it's more of Abby cherry-picking Amber's diet to make it look like Amber has cleaned up her eating since Abby looked at her last. Now, remember, this video was made in like 2021. The next video is a year only a year ago. So that video was made in 2022. Those of you who follow the Amber timelines better than I do will know exactly what's been going on the past 2 years with Amber and how the crap that Abby says is not accurate, even though Abby's trying to push the narrative that these semi-healthy meals and these healthy mukbangs that Amber was doing, we even recall her calling them healthy mukbangs, that these are typical eating for Amber, which we know is not true. We know it's atypical eating, okay? Okay. Anyway, if you've made it this far in the video and I haven't completely ticked you off and you've run screaming away, go ahead and leave a... Well, it's Abby Sharp. Go ahead and leave a sharp object down in the comments section. So a sharp object emoji down in the comments section. You can type it out too. I know there's some people that like respond from their computers or their phones or something. And I think it's funny when I'm just going through and they'll just be like, Apple. I'll be like, why is there just one? Oh yeah, that was the emoji. So go ahead and leave a sharp object down in the comments section. Feel free to leave a comment down there if you want. I know I was pretty heated on this one. I've made it very clear that Abby's not one of my favorite people on YouTube. And so I'm sure I'm going to get some pushback from that, but it's okay. I'm an adult. I can take it. It's not going to cause me to bloat up and go have an ED because you don't like me. Anyway, thank you to all of my viewers and all of my subscribers. I mean, if I made you mad and you feel like you can't subscribe to me anymore, that's understandable. It's okay. We don't have to be friends. Thank you to my members. You guys rock. And thank you to everybody who is going to hit the like button. And yeah, don't forget, sharp object, hit the like button, and I will see you guys in part 2 of this, because this has definitely got to be a two-parter. But I will see you all next time. Bye!